Okay, I call the regular meeting of the Milliken Board of Trustees for April 13th, 2022 to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Will the town clerk please call roll?
Trustee Long. Here. Trustee Rodriguez. Here. Trustee Wakeman.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich.
Here.
Mayor Austin.
Here.
And I'd like to note that Trustee Meisner is absent.
Thank you. Does anyone have any additions or deletions to the agenda? Hearing none, I'll take a motion.
I move that we accept the agenda as presented.
Second.
Town clerk, please call for a vote.
Trustee Long. Yes. Trustee Rodriguez. Yes. Trustee Wakeman.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich.
Yes.
Mayor Austin.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Okay, now is the time for citizens' comments. We're going to start out with a presentation from Civica. For that presentation, we will waive the 3-minute rule. This will be Sheena McCowett from Civica.
Hello, you guys. Thank you for having me. You guys don't know me. I'm the principal of Civica, the charter school that's in Milliken. And so I always like to come and keep you guys updated. We are 32 weeks in to a successful year. I just wanted to share with you guys, there's a lot of people who are fans of Civica, and it's just not in this town. We had someone who bought a bond, so we just closed on an $8 million bond, and we purchased the building, which is kind of unheard of this early on, but people believe that education is the answer, and I do believe education is the answer. And so we bought the building, so now we have both sides of the building, and we have a part of the bond was a $2 million renovation. So we're going to be doing the labs, the Career Academy labs on the Burnco side of the building, if you're familiar with it. And then also Lot Holdings donated about 16 acres of land to us out there, if you're familiar with where that land is on the south side, which is really exciting for expansion, because you know that the goal would be that the building we're in right now would be the middle school, and as enrollment increases, which with all the building that's going on around here, I know enrollment is going to increase. We will have a high school and then a gymnasium and have all that land out there. So it's something really exciting for the community. And the great thing about charter schools is when we have a bond, we don't bring it to the citizens, and so there's not a tax increase. I pay my rent on my bond. So that's very exciting. I'm learning a lot about charter schools. After 21 years, it's really the way to go. It also means I get to add 100 students for next year. So one thing, not a lot of people are familiar with charter schools and the process, and so getting the word around that you have to enroll and you have to be accepted into the charter school. So we're really trying to get the word around. We kind of disaggregated the data and found that 50% of our students are from Milliken, and that's really neat because our dream was to have the neighborhood school. And we have kids that ride up every morning on their scooters, and one of the sweetest things that I think that came back this year, we've been in person the whole time, if you're familiar with us, and we brought back Best Friends. And Best Friends is really important. And they play and they go to TRPR sometimes, or they are after school academic skills. But that's been really sweet, and that's happened through our sports. We just finished a Power to Play season where our 8th grade boys had a season there. And so every weekend, all the parents and all the kids, we were at Power to Play, and we brought back team sports and sleepovers and all of those fun things. So 100 more students. So 220 is where we're going to be able to be at next year, which will be grades 6 through 10. So our 9th graders will grow up, and then we'll just continue to grow until we're a full middle school, high school. And on top of the $8 million that we closed on and the land that we now have for the school, you guys know that we still get the $330,000 every year from the state for our startup grant. so we're able to bring some amazing things to these students. We have the Career and Collegiate Academy, so we have the Paxton Patterson Labs. Our scores have increased so much we double dip. So we have reading, and we also have the Springboard Language Arts, and our scores, someone said to me the other day, the growth is almost too much to even look at. I was like, because they grew over 100%, like some of them grew like 200%. Which I want to look at because there's a reason they grew that much. Students at Civica, they are in a safe place. Our class sizes are really small right now. I've kind of held strong to make sure our foundation is strong. So I have about 15, 16 students in a class, which is a beautiful thing. I have a low tolerance for behaviors in the classroom. So I make sure the bullying and the behaviors are out. So the teachers get to do this crazy thing called teach. And when students get to learn and they're not scared and they're happy, and teachers teach, some amazing things are happening over there. So I'm really excited to share that with you. A lot of people, when they hear it, say, you got to start telling more people this story. And I'm like, I'm too tired. I don't go home. So that's exciting. And I always listen to this board. You guys have been so receptive, and you always bring things to me that I'm like, oh, we should definitely do that. So I just wanted to let you guys know, last time I was here, it was recommended that we should do like a financial literacy curriculum. I think we all agree, right? Like it's important for the students to know about debt and how to manage money. And so we purchased the Dave Ramsey Financial Literacy Curriculum, which was recommended, and we've been doing that with our 6th grade students. We anticipate that we're going to do financial literacy in middle school and then again in 11th grade, because there's a different and a higher curriculum that can go to that. On top of that, we purchase like dollars and coins, and at the beginning of math, we count back change and we count money and purchase things. I don't know if you've ever been to the store, but it's really hard for people to count money back these days. And I was like, not at Civica. It's like a line we always say, like, not at Civica and not at Civica. Mark does that. So that's been really important. And a couple times you guys have asked, she's not here tonight, but if we do cursive writing. And I was like, no, they still think it's secret code when they read cursive. So I did purchase Handwriting Without Tears, which is a cursive curriculum, and we are introducing that just in chunks with the students. So the model of Civica is that every student will graduate with an industry certification, every single one of them. Our 2 academies are the health science academies. Medical terminology is starting next year with our medical lab. And then we also have the business systems academy, which is going to have a social media marketing class to start. But every single one of them are going to be prepared for the world. And there's a lot of things that are on top of that. If you've ever been there, they shake my hand every single morning when you come in the classroom. If you're an adult visiting our class, they all stand up and I say, good morning, Eagles. Thank you for honoring me as you were. And then we go on. So I always say none of those things are radical, they're right. I can only serve a small part of the population, and usually a small part of the population are leaders, and so I'm raising them all up to be leaders in this community, in their homes, and in the workforces. So it was really exciting for me to be able, because every time I would hear that, I'm like, oh, I gotta do that. And so after the last board meeting, I was like, I'm purchasing the curriculum, and this is when we're doing it, and we're gonna write cursive, and we're gonna read cursive. Because I swear, they think, like when they get a letter, it's like, that's secret code. I'm like, no, that's a letter and it's in cursive. So, and it is important to be able to know what debt is, and to know what you're getting yourself into. And so I just want you to know I'm very responsive to you guys, and I'm very proud. And the parents are really loving it too, because I think all of our goal is like for them to be ready to fly at 18. It's like, and even when sometimes I call parents and I say, the reason I'm calling you today is because the behavior that I'm interacting with is an unemployable skill, right? If I tell you to tuck your shirt in and you don't do it, it's just unemployable, right? Like it's a little thing. And the parents are always like, in their minds like, I want them employed. Like, I want them out at 18. I'm like, me too, I've got 3. So those are all very exciting things, but I'm very honored to lead Civica. I'm very honored. About another thing that you guys should know, the word is getting out about charter schools are the way to protect your children from some of the things that go on in this world. We stick to McGraw-Hill. We have a Marine teaching it. We have science, and we have Springboard that are adopted curriculums, and I leave all the politics and stuff that goes on in other schools out of my building. And I'm just going to give them a firm foundation. Then they get to go home, and then parents get to do this thing called parenting. I don't even allow sex ed in the building right now because it's either all or none, and I choose to do none. So none of those things are radical, right? All of those things are right. But it is an honor to bring this to this community. 50% of the students are from Milliken. About a little over 40% are from Johnstown. Windsor families are happily driving their children to Civica. They say it's absolutely changing their life. And I have a few other students from surrounding areas. And I just think it's an honor that people are driving their students to Civica in Milliken, and I do believe it. And I have parents every day that tell me my child is a different child from being in your school, and it's an honor that we're willing, that we can offer that. Because it's important, right? It's important to have healthy kids in our community. So thank you for letting me give you an update. Thank you for all of your wonderful ideas that you continue to give me, and we are working really hard over there. We had PSAT testing for our 9th graders today. We had 8th grade science and CMAS, and we did a all day, as you know, 6th and 7th grade STEM day at TRPR. So we're doing it over there. We're doing it, and we're learning a lot. So thank you for having me.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming in.
Absolutely.
Okay. Do we have any other citizens' comments? Mrs. Honorado knows the drill.
Okay, just want to announce, the Historical Society again we haven't had it for 2 years, but we're going to have our, what we always call the spring fling. May 1st, you're all invited, and it's going to be about the American flag. And it's neat. It's really going to be, but the men are invited too this time, not just the women. So you can bring the kids. And of course, it is $10 a person, but it's worth it. But anyway, hope we see y'all.
Okay. Thank you very much. Any other citizens' comments? Okay, citizens' comments are now closed. Is there any discussion or comments on the minutes of the March 23rd, 2022 meeting? Hearing none, I'll take a motion.
I move to approve March 23rd, 2022 minutes.
I second it.
Town clerk, please call for a vote.
Trustee Wakeman,
Yes.
Trustee Rodriguez,
Yes.
Trustee Long,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich,
Yes.
Mayor Austin.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. All right, we've got the town administrator's report. Administrator Powell.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. On Wednesday, April 6th, Don Stonebrink and I attended a Northern Colorado Regional Water Startup work session. This is a lot of the communities in our area that have kind of banded together to talk water. And this was hosted by the Community Foundation of Northern Colorado. We will be attending their next work session on June 24th. Anyone who's interested in receiving the printed information I received for the last meeting, I'd be happy to send them to you. It's a lot of good information, how it all got started. I think they initiated it in 2020. It was like a 2-day long session. We also received an update from National Resources Conservation Service, and this is the NRCS that we went through regarding the Little Thompson, aka Hillsborough Reservoir project. They informed us they received $55,000 in funding to do an investigation report on the reservoir. And so when Leonard and I were speaking about this, he said this is great news since it is an indication that they are going to do the whole project unless something really bad turns up in the preliminary work. So fingers crossed that we keep moving on this. I also received an email from Karen Tressler, who is the superintendent for the school district, and inviting me to a work session next week. They are developing their long-range Facility Task Force to help guide their board with present, future school buildings. And I will keep the board updated with any information I receive. So,
Any questions
That's
from the
what I
board? All right, thank you very much.
you're welcome.
There is nothing on the consent agenda. We'll move to the action agenda. First item is a public hearing for the adoption of Resolution 22-04 for updating the fees on the Fee Town schedule. Wade Nickerson, Finance Director.
So I'll summarize the content of the public hearing for you. The purpose of this is to update the fee schedule for the refuse collection, the trash recycling. We need to update that per the waste management contract. We're going to update the excavation permit fees. Our fees haven't been updated for a long time, and we need to try and recover some of the costs that are involved with that. And then the last piece is the fee for non-potable water usage. Our code requires that we update that every year by 2%, and I forgot to include it in our January fee and fine update with the other water and sewer recalculations, and so I want to get that into this for the upcoming irrigation season. And I can take any questions the board has.
This is a public hearing, so now I'm going to open the public hearing portion and see if we have any comments. The time is 6:46. Does the public have any comments? And I'm not hearing any. Does the board have any questions on Wade Nickerson's presentation? Nope. Okay, it is 6:47. I'm going to close the public hearing, and I'll take a motion.
I move to adopt resolution number 22-04, adopting the fee schedule with changes to section 6, 11, 18, effective May 1st, 2022.
Second.
Town clerk, please call for a vote.
Trustee Rodriguez?
Yes.
Trustee Wakeman?
Yes.
Trustee Long?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich?
Yes.
Mayor Austin?
Yes.
Motion carries.
I have a question. Did I say I was closing the public hearing, or did I say I was closing the public comment?
I'm not sure. I think you said public hearing.
Okay, just making sure. Sometimes I mix up those two words. All righty, moving on to the next item is consideration and approval of a professional service agreement for Halcyon Levine, Pepper McClanahan, Community Development Director.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Before you tonight is a request to authorize the town administrator to sign a professional services agreement with Halcyon Levine Associates to complete the comprehensive plan update. We published a request for proposals in January with a deadline for proposals of February 18th. The town received 5, 4 of which were qualifying proposals. We set up interviews for middle of March with the 4 qualifying firms. We did have one firm withdraw before they were interviewed. So we interviewed 3. And based on the scoring, I should back up, there were 5 on the interview team. They consisted of the town administrator, town clerk, community development director, and 2 representatives from the planning commission. And based on their weighted scoring, we took the top 2 and made reference checks. And as a result of all of that, we are forwarding a recommendation for Halcyon Levine, a copy of the PSA was attached to your packets for budget implications. As you're aware, DOLA approved a grant for $80,000 in November of last year, and the board graciously matched that in the 2022 budget. So we have a total project cost of $160,000, and the Halcyon Levine proposal total budget came in at $158,690, which is just under the maximum budget. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions, and staff is recommending authorization to execute this PSA. We do have a representative, Halcyon Levine, with us this evening, if you have any questions for that firm.
Okay. Questions from the board? Trustee Long.
Nothing for me.
Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich.
I have none.
Trustee Wakeman.
I'm just wondering if we're positive that this will come in at the proposed amount, and if there are any incidental fees or charges that would be over and above the contract amount.
The contract is issued as a not to exceed, so we will not exceed what was proposed for budget.
Okay. And as far as like mileage or any additional costs, that's all included?
Correct.
Thank you.
Trustee Rodriguez.
I have no questions.
We have a little trouble getting our land use code coming in on time. I'm a little concerned that we will get this done in a timely manner as well. Is it possible to get in our board packets, establish a list of goals with timelines?
Yes, we can, sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, we can bring that forward, and the list of tasks is included as part of the, as well as the scope of work. The last bullet item under Exhibit A is that it has to be completed by not later than November 1st of 2023. And Halcyon Levine has assured us that there is sufficient time to accomplish this within that timeline.
So if we can establish that with that task list, dates, so we have measurable tasks in our packet, that way the board is aware of our progress. I would appreciate it.
Absolutely. Just, well, I can add at the end, but the next steps that we've already discussed based on those tasks is we've already received a job description for the steering committee members that Halcyon Levine recommends. So we'll be identifying that group of people to serve as a core steering committee. That won't be all, obviously, that participate. We'll be reaching out to key stakeholders and other entities when we get to those points in the plan. And then we have the second week and the third week, one of those 2 weeks in May, targeted for the first 2 to 3 day meeting with Halcyon Levine, which accomplishes a bunch of those tasks. So pending your approval tonight, we will start working on this immediately tomorrow morning.
Happy to hear that. Any final comments from the board? Hearing none, I'll take a motion on the matter.
I move to authorize the town administrator to sign the professional services agreement with Halcyon Levine Associates.
Second.
Town clerk, please cover a vote.
Trustee Long?
Yes.
Trustee Rodriguez?
Yes.
Trustee Wakeman?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich?
Yes.
Mayor Austin?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Okay, next item on the agenda is the consideration and approval of a construction agreement with Central Paving Incorporated. This will be John Ravis, Streets and Facilities Director.
Good evening. Last meeting, we discussed the sidewalk survey that was completed in January. We went out to, we had an RFP was posted on March 24th, and bid openings was held on April 4th. And we're looking at addressing all the trip hazards this year. We received a total of 3 bids. This project will eliminate 116 pedestrian trip hazards, and Public Works will also be grinding down another 24 pedestrian trip hazards as part of this project. If there's any questions.
So how much new sidewalk will we have then?
What was that?
How much new sidewalk will we end up with?
It'll be little over 10,800 square feet. I don't know if I got that number dead on, but it's roughly a little over 10,000.
I was hoping for miles, but.
Other questions from the board? Trustee Rodriguez?
I would say kind of the warranty on it, you know.
2 year.
Pardon me?
A 2-year warranty.
And are we just going to make sure that the work is done in compliance and in code and we're not back in this situation
We
again?
will, I'll be out there.
Okay. Thank you.
Other questions, Trustee Wakeman?
No.
Trustee Long?
No questions.
Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich?
I don't have any questions.
Just very happy to get this moving, so hearing nothing, I'll take a motion on the matter.
I move to authorize the mayor to sign a construction agreement with Central Paving, Inc. for sidewalk replacement at various locations throughout the town for $140,000.
I second it.
Town clerk, please call for a vote.
Trustee Rodriguez?
Yes.
Trustee Wakeman?
Yes.
Trustee Long?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich?
Yes.
Mayor Austin?
Yes,
Motion carries.
thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. Last item on the action agenda, consideration and adoption of ordinance number 799, ordinance modifying the model traffic code. Matthew Gould, Town Attorney.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Austin. The ordinance that is before you is the product of some coordination between the prosecutor, Fred Long, and in our office and the police department. We've had some parking violations that have been dismissed in court for a variety of reasons recently, and so we did a little investigation and we discovered that the provision in the model traffic code that allows tagging a vehicle when the owner is not present, it basically is cumbersome. It is limited to violations of the state motor vehicle law, and that's an undefined term, and it must be processed through the Colorado Department of Revenue. So what we're proposing is some modifications to that provision of the model traffic code that would allow this to be handled in the municipal court and for violations of our municipal code. And I will tell you that this ordinance went through a variety of iterations, and we did our very best to shrink it. So that's what you have in front of you.
Okay, thank you. Questions from the board, Trustee Wakeman.
No, I don't believe I have any questions. Thank you.
Trustee Rodriguez.
No questions.
Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich.
No questions.
Trustee Long.
No questions.
And I have none either. So hearing no further discussion, I'll take a motion on the matter.
I'll move we approve ordinance 799.
Second.
Town clerk, please call for a vote.
I'm sorry, let's be sure we read the full proposed motion, because we need to read the title of the ordinance itself into the record.
I can't get it to come up.
He was having a problem with it.
Okay. I move that the board adopt ordinance number 799, an ordinance of the town of Milliken, Colorado, amending portions of the model traffic code regarding ticketing and unattended vehicles on public property.
Second.
Okay.
Thank you.
A little change there. Town clerk, please call for a vote.
Trustee Wakeman?
Yes.
Trustee Long?
Yes.
Trustee Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich?
Yes.
Mayor Austin?
Yes,
Motion carries.
thank you. All right, now we're on to the discussion agenda. We have a guest speaker tonight. We have Mr. Clint Dudley with TRPR talking about the South Platte Trail. Please join us. Is that this?
Sorry. You're
Yeah,
welcome.
we are.
I'll take one, though. You'll take one? Yes, thank you. Would you like one, Matt? Sure.
So most everybody here has met me, but for those who have not and those who are new, my name is Clint Dudley. I'm with Thompson Rivers Parks and Recreation District. It seems like I have the pleasure a couple times a year to presenting different projects from the board. Though today is focused on the trail. Though when we're done, if you have any other questions about anything else TRPR related, feel free to ask me. We're going to start with kind of a basic where we've been over the last 10 years when it comes to trails in the Johnstown-Milliken area. About 10 years ago, the town of Milliken was granted a Great Outdoors Colorado grant to perform a trail study for a trail connection from Milliken to Platteville. It was a very in-depth process. There was a lot of community input. In the end, it was determined that it was not a feasible connection, mostly because there was over 100 landowners and over 200 parcels between here and Platteville. And to find that many willing landowners was really not feasible. And that's kind of the theme you're going to find out with trails that were going on. So fast forward a few years, and TRPR had received some funding from the same organization, Great Outdoors Colorado, to study a rail corridor that connected Milliken to Firestone. And it was on an abandoned rail corridor. The rail corridor was built to build the XL power plant that's out on County Road 19, just for construction, and then it was abandoned after that. Rail corridors are fantastic ways to build trails, mostly because of the grade, but the real neat thing about this one was it was owned by XL. It wasn't an easement, so it was one property owner from Milliken to Firestone, which is easy, slam dunk to build a trail, but not so fast. It turns out that there are dozens of eagles, nests and roosts within that corridor, and a vast majority of that corridor was deemed by the Department of Wildlife to not be available for trail construction, which is unfortunate, but we respect that. If we want to build a trail and we want to get people in nature, we still want nature to be there when we're out there. So we've been through some different ideas about how we route from that Milliken to Firestone. And what we've kind of determined is between Milliken, Johnstown, and TRPR that we're not large enough organizations with the resources to really tackle this project with all the other things that we have going on. So we've kind of developed this new idea that's talking about a more regional trail that does include that portion that we want to talk about, but also brings in resources from other communities. And that's the communities that's listed on the front of this sheet that you guys have here. So Kersey, Greeley, Evans, LaSalle, Milliken, and Firestone. And I've given similar presentations to most of these towns. Kersey and LaSalle and Firestone are 100% on board with the concept that I'm going to present tonight. LaSalle is having some administrative changes right now, but they were very interested in participating. And then Greeley, as you can probably imagine, it's kind of a process to get through Greeley, but everybody that we've talked to at Greeley has been super on board with it. So that may be more of a process. So what we're kind of talking about is creating a trail authority, and an authority is a very specific name. I don't know that it will end up being an actual authority. It could just be a nonprofit, or it could just be an IGA. We don't know how that's going to work. But the basic idea is that we're going to look at a corridor that goes from Kersey to Greeley to Evans to Milliken to Firestone, and we're all going to work on that together. So we can work on planning grants together. We can work on mapping and routing together. Evans has already stepped up, and they're providing some of the preliminary mapping that we were not able to do because they have a GIS person on staff that can do that. So already we're really kind of reaping some of those benefits. Again, going back to the word authority, that's something that would be an actual agreement that the towns would have to enter into, and there would be some cost sharing involved in that, and there would be some long-term visioning involved with that. That's kind of down the road, but what we're asking for is just that you hear us out and you kind of digest that, so that when we come back to you guys with some more concrete information, that you guys are ready to have that discussion. So talking a little bit about what's in this packet and about the trail in particular, you guys are all familiar with the North Front Range Planning Organization. Who is the rep on your board?
Linda.
That time.
Who's that?
Linda Meisner.
Linda. Okay. So the planning organization, every so many years, 3 to 5 years, they do create different planning documents that are adopted by all of the towns that are part of that. And one of those planning documents that they create is a kind of a trails wish list or a trails master plan. And at the top of that list for the last 10 years has been a connection from Milliken to Firestone. So that's the route that we're talking about. That's what we've called the Wildcat Trail. Very similar to that Milliken to Platteville route. Again, you're going to see a theme here. And that's the first 2 maps that are included on here. This comes directly from their website, directly from a plan that has been adopted by the town of Milliken. So then moving on to the next one, this actual corridor that we're talking about, in particular, the Milliken to Firestone one is also part of what's called the American Discovery Trail, which is a nationwide trail that connects the East Coast to the West Coast. And when you're looking at the trail, you can kind of see kind of that, when you want to get from Greeley and you want to get down to Denver, guess where you're going to go through? You're going to go through that Milliken Firestone route that's already been defined. So very critical to this nationwide trail system. And then moving on to the next one, this is the Colorado Front Range Trail, which we started about 2003 identifying a route that gets us basically from Wyoming, at least down to Pueblo, if not all the way down to Raton Pass. And again, the critical connection from the north to the south is Milliken to Firestone. So this connection is not only important to us here in Milliken, but people at the state level and nationwide level realize the importance of the connection, which means that there will be funding to construct this portion if we can find a route to get there. And that's kind of the work that we need to develop. The last 2 pages, it will probably be difficult to see when it's up here, but one of the things that I've been asked at most of the presentations is some more detail on length of the trail and some written descriptions of the actual corridors, so you guys can read that on your own here. And if anybody in the audience would like this information, you guys can reach out to Carrie or Cheryl and they can share that with you, or they can connect you guys to me. So what we're really looking for today is nothing. I'm not asking for any commitments other than just to make you familiar of this process. Again, I've given this presentation to several other boards. What we think as a group that we're going to do is we're going to establish a rough corridor. It may be 50 miles wide. Our hope is it's probably 5 miles wide. And that corridor is the way to get from Kersey all the way to Firestone. And then we would like to apply for some professional services funding so that we can bring on some professional staffers. So it's not me that's running point on this project because I actually have a job to do, and building trails isn't my profession. I'm not the best at it. So that's where we're kind of at right now. We don't know that we're going to be asking for anything from the municipalities as far as contributing to that. If we do, it would be something minimal in the $1,000 range if there is a match that's required for that grant. But we don't think it's going to be anything exceptionally high. Once we receive that, those funding, then we will be coming back and we will be asking for some assistance from either staff or elected officials in trying to narrow down that corridor. So then we can apply for some funding for actually some engineering so that we can see what's feasible for that trail. So that's kind of where we're at now.
It's 20 miles from Milliken to Firestone. You want me to test out my bike riding that?
Both ways, too. You got to go both ways. Because there's no shuttles. And so I grew up in the mountains, and some of my friends that mountain bike, one of the questions they ask me is, who wants to ride on a trail from Milliken to Firestone? And I will say I've been on the trail. I've ridden my bike on this trail on the railroad, and it is absolutely amazing. It is gorgeous. I've seen the eagles. I've seen the turkeys. I've seen the river. I've seen the Platte. I've seen where the Platte meets the St. Vrain. When you're on top of the bluffs, on the Wildcat Bluffs, the view of the mountains is just as clear as you can be. And I tell my friends that are in the mountains that they can't see the mountains when they're in the mountains, and they need to come out and they need to see the views. So it will be a tourist destination, whether that's what you're looking for or not. Trails are. And if you've heard about any of some of the popular trails in the country that are becoming even more popular and destinations, like it's called the Katy Trail in Missouri. And Missouri is not a tourist destination, and people are going to Missouri to ride this trail, and there's industry that's popping up all around it. And then there's the Mickelson Trail in South Dakota that industry is popping up all along it. And this trail is very much in the vein of those trails. And obviously I'm very passionate about that, and I want to see it succeed, but I think there's a lot of benefits to the trail besides just us riding our bike to Firestone and back. So.
But you were going to bring that bike, the second leg of that bike thing to Milliken. Is that still in the works as well?
So my fear is probably not. So what she was talking about was we had officially been approved, but it was not announced to host a Great Plains bicycle tour, and we were going to be the host of that, and it had hundreds of participants, and we really thought this was going to be a way to get Milliken on the map for the bicycle community. Unfortunately, that was canceled twice due to COVID, and the nonprofit that had ran that has gone bankrupt. So there was two components to that. One of them is Ride the Rockies, which you probably hear on the news. It's a very large organization. That portion has been bought out by another nonprofit, but the portion that we were gonna do has not. Pedal the Plains is what it was called.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking this could, enhance, Pedal the Plains, but I guess we're not going to have that. Okay. Questions from the board, because I'm pretty excited.
Good.
None. None for me.
No?
Anyone else?
I was going to ask if
No
dogs could be
question,
on
but
it.
great idea.
Yes, absolutely. Well,
It's a dog.
that's to be determined, but my assumption is absolutely yes. Things as far as the surface of the trail and uses of the trail are obviously yet to be determined. A lot of it will be determined by what is in your Trails Master Plan, and I think the one that you guys have is relatively old, though relatively current as far as the types of things that are in it. It's very detailed, such as you dictate that it has to be a hard surface trail and it has to be 10 feet wide, and there's some other things like that. But my assumption would be yes.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you coming and telling us about this because, we like to hear about exciting things. So.
Well, I will tell you that the Poudre River Trail that goes from Greeley to almost Fort Collins now, we'll go to Fort Collins here really soon, took 30 years to complete. So we're not saying that it's going to take 30 years, but we're cautious when we tell you that we're moving forward, but in 5 years, it's unlikely that you'll see a trail from Kersey to Firestone. But we have to start someplace, so.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Glenn.
All right. All right. Thank you. All right, as the mayor representing Milliken's Town Board, we would like to thank Derek Granquist, Amanda Long, Linda Meisner, and Peggy Wakeman for their service as trustees to the town. During their tenure, we hired a great town administrator, promoted staff to their new positions from within departments, and set strategic goals for the future of Milliken. Among the many tasks that we undertook, here are a few of note. We completed the CR 46 expansion and reconstruction, did the 2021 Land Use Code update, which I've been informed was just under 400 pages. Welcomed the opening of Civica, our new charter school in town, which we treasure very much. Also, working on the broadband that we're bringing, hopefully that it will be implemented or start being implemented towards the end of this year with no increase in taxes to the citizens. And of course, continue to work on the Hillsborough Reservoir. And our new board will continue working on the stoplight at Highway 60 and Centennial Drive that this board has so very much desired to have. So we have not given up yet. These are just a few of the projects that our trustees spend much of their personal time donating to the town to ensure that these projects come to fruition. And that's in addition to the many hours spent usually on budget and reading town packets that are sent to us and being informed for the votes. It is interesting that what most people see is just the end to the work. They see the vote that takes place very quickly, not realizing that in fact it takes hours of time and preparation to read the packet and be informed and ask questions. So these people have donated their time to the citizens of Milliken, and I want to express our gratitude and present some plaques to those that are here today. And thank you very much for improving our town. Starting out with a longstanding board member that has served many times, Trustee Peggy Wakeman. Come on up. Yeah, you didn't know you had to get out of your chair and come on down here. It's like The Price is Right. He hugs. Puts me to shame. Thank you. All right, thank you so much. Thank you. Okay. Amanda Long, Trustee Long, please come on down.
Not only do we have to come down, we have to scoot past each other.
Yes, there you go. There you go.
Thanks for your service.
There's your plaque. Thank you so much. Trustee Granquist could not be here tonight because, unfortunately, he had to move for his job. So we wish his well in his future endeavors. And Trustee Musner is somewhere on a plane. And I'm sure she'll land soon in the wind at DIA. So thank you very much to our trustees who served in this term, and we appreciate your efforts. Thank you very much. I got through it without crying. Okay. All right. There is no more business before this board, so I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I move. We adjourn.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Nay? None. Okay. We are adjourned. Thank you very much. That was hard. That was hard. We'll take a 5-minute break before we start the next meeting. I call the second meeting of the 2022 Milliken Board of Trustees for April 13th, 2022 to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we're going to start with the swearing in of new board members.
Yep. I can have you guys stand. And then how do you want to do this? Going that way? Right here?
That's fine.
You guys can come this way so everybody can see you on camera. All right, if you'll raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Brian Lane,
Do solemnly affirm
do solemnly affirm
that I will support and enforce
that I will support and enforce
the Constitution and laws
the Constitution and laws
of the United States of America
of the United States of America
and the state of Colorado
and the state of Colorado
and the ordinances of the town of Milliken,
and the ordinances of the town of Milliken,
and shall faithfully perform
and shall faithfully perform
to the best of my abilities
to the best of my abilities
the duties of office of trustee,
the duties of office of trustee
which I am about to enter.
which I am about to enter.
Congratulations.
Come on up and have your seats. And for the very first time, Town Clerk, please call roll.
Trustee Beckman? Here. Trustee Dean?
Here.
Trustee Lane?
Here.
Trustee Rodriguez?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich?
Here.
Mayor Austin?
Here. Does anyone have any additions or deletions to the agenda? Hearing none, I'll take a motion.
I move to approve the agenda.
Second.
Town Clerk, please call for a vote.
Trustee Dean?
Yes.
Trustee Lane?
Yes.
Trustee Rodriguez?
Yes.
Trustee Beckman?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich?
Yes.
Mayor Austin?
Yes. Town Administrator, do you have any additional comments you'd like to make at this time?
No, ma'am, I do not.
Okay, thank you. All right. The next thing we need to take care of is appointment of the Mayor Pro Tem. So this time I'll open it up for nominations for Mayor Pro Tem.
I nominate Leron Ulrich. Sorry.
Can we have one nomination for Leron Ehrlich?
I'm sorry.
Any other nominations?
Move the nominations be closed.
Okay, closing the nominations, I'll take a motion.
I move to approve Leron Ulrich as Mayor Pro Tem.
I second.
Thank you. Town Clerk, please call for a vote.
Trustee Dean?
Yes.
Trustee Lane?
Yes.
Trustee Beckman?
Yes.
Trustee Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich?
Abstain.
Mayor Austin?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Look at that, you don't have to move your seat, Leroy. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Trustee Ehrlich? Okay. All righty, moving on. We have an Arbor Day proclamation. And in just a moment, I will be reading that. Whereas, in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees, and whereas this holiday, called Arbor Day, was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska. And whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and around the world, and whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cut heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce life-giving oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees are a renewable resource giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. And whereas trees in our city increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community. And whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. Now, therefore, I, Elizabeth Austin, Mayor for the town of Milliken, do hereby proclaim April 13th, 2022 as Arbor Day in the town of Milliken, and I urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and to support the efforts to protect our trees and woodlands. And further, I urge all citizens to plant trees to gladden the heart and promote the well-being of this and future generations. Just a second. Dated this day of 13th of April, 2022. That is our proclamation. Okay. The next item on the agenda, just a moment, sorry. Consideration and adoption of resolution number 2207, a resolution appointing the treasurer, town attorneys, municipal judge, and town clerk. Cheryl Powell, town administrator.
Yes, ma'am. With the seating of a new board, it is custom to appoint the treasurer, town attorney, municipal judge, and the town clerk.
Taking questions from the board. Trustee Dean, any questions?
No.
Trustee Beckman?
No questions.
Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich?
I have none.
Trustee Rodriguez?
No questions.
Trustee Lane?
No questions.
I have no questions. Therefore, no further discussion. I'll take a motion on the matter.
Make a motion, we approve resolution number 22-07, appointing Wade Nickerson as treasurer, Matthew Gould, Jed Scott, Fred Long as attorneys for the town, Teresa Bono as the judge for the town of Milliken, and Kerry Reinberger as town clerk for the town of Milliken.
Second.
Thank you. Town Clerk, please call for a vote.
Trustee Lane?
Yes.
Trustee Rodriguez?
Yes.
Trustee Beckman?
Yes.
Trustee Dean?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich?
Yes.
Mayor Austin?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. All right, the next item on the agenda is an executive session. I'll take a motion to enter into executive session.
I move we enter into executive session pursuant to Section 24-6-4024E of the Colorado Revised Statute for the purpose of determining positions relative to matters that may be subject to negotiations, developing strategies for negotiation, and instructing negotiators with respect to mediation with the City of Evans related to petition received by Milliken for annexation of certain property in the southwest quarter of Section 28, Township 5 North, Range 66 west of 6P.M, County of Weld, State of Colorado. And pursuant to Section 24-6-4024B of the Colorado Revised Statute of the purpose of receiving legal advice from the town attorney on specific legal questions related to such mediation.
Second.
Town Clerk, please call for a vote.
Trustee Rodriguez?
Yes.
Trustee Beckman?
Yes.
Trustee Dean?
Yes.
Trustee Lane?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich?
Yes.
Mayor Austin?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. In this session will be Matt Gould, Town Attorney, Cheryl Powell, Town Administrator, Trustees Beckman, Rodriguez, Dean, Lane, Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich, and Community Development Director Pepper McClanahan. Do we need Town Clerk? Yes. And Town Clerk Kerry Reinberger. Sorry. A little late. So we will adjourn for 5 minutes to clear the room and get ready for an executive session. Thank you, everyone, for attending tonight.